All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third and final virtual session for the HCPS College and Career Bootcamp. As a reminder, this session will be recorded and we'll share it with all registered participants via email later this afternoon. During the call, please remember to stay muted. However, if you have any questions, enter them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the call. So today's session, as you see, is focused on college essay writing, and we are extremely excited to be joined by Dr. Katrina Garland, who's the Associate Dean and Director of Outreach in the Office of Undergraduate Admission at the University of Virginia. Dr. Garland has a very unique insight for us today because she has also served as a high school administrator here in the Richmond area. So just in general, the college essay, one of the reasons we offer this session is because it can be daunting for students, since many of them aren't used to this type of writing during their high school career. It sometimes can also feel a bit high stakes because it's something that colleges want. Some colleges do no longer require essays. Some might want one, like the Common App personal statement, and then others might require additional essays beyond that. So it's really going to vary based on school. So with all of that, I'm going to turn the rest of our program over this morning to Dr. Garland. And at the end, we'll answer any of your questions from the chat. So welcome, Dr. Garland.
Thank you, Ms. Melton, and all of the other counselors. Thank you all so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here today with you all to break down some of the myths and give you some strategies and techniques to use as you are getting ready to write your college essays. So thank you so much for tuning in, and without further ado, we will get started. Okay, so the application components. Let's start at the overarching idea here. So what are colleges looking for? All of these things listed here are what colleges are looking for, but you're probably wondering what the picture on the right has to do with the words on the left. When you think about College of Admissions, we like to call it's a pie. Your application, all the components of the application make up the admissions pie. And without one piece, it's not really complete, right? So this is all of the things that colleges look at. You will hear a lot of us use the term holistic when we talk about how we review applications, and this is a very simplified way of thinking about it. We look at everything. We look at the whole pie of you, the student. So that includes your academics, first and foremost, your activities. So that may be your list of extracurriculars where you would list your accomplishments, if you have a job, all of those things. Your letters of recommendation, your essays, and other. Other may be an interview if the school offers an interview, just other things. But what we're going to focus on, what I've highlighted here, are your essays. So as you can see, they are a very critical piece of your application pie for admissions. So as Ms. Melton said, there are different types of essays that you may be asked to write for your college essay. So the first and the most prominent would be your Common App or your QuestBridge application essay. So on the Common App, which vast majority of students are going to be applying to schools via the Common App. If you have not already, go to commonapp.org and start building your profiles there. But the Common App essay is your personal statement. There are 7 prompts that you can choose from on Common App that you can answer, and you can choose whichever one of those 7 prompts you want to answer. The QuestBridge application I bring up because we at the University of Virginia are a QuestBridge partner school. QuestBridge is a national organization for students from lower limited income families. So that is a separate program type of application. They have their own prompts, but that is that's the main essay that most colleges will be looking at, which is why it's called your personal statement. And you can choose whatever you'd like to write about. And I'll break that down a little bit later in the presentation. The supplemental essay is an essay that is written for one specific school. So each school may have its own supplementary essay question that may ask, why here? Why are you applying to us? Tell us what you know about us. Tell us why you want us to choose you to come to our school. So that's what a supplemental essay is. And then there are very specific essays, which may be written specifically for one school program, for a scholarship, etc. So you may be asked on an application to write a very, very specific essay, like, why do you want to major in economics? Why do you want to receive this scholarship? So that's very pointed. So the personal statement is more broad. The supplemental essay will be school specific. And then sometimes within that, you may also have a more specified essay that they want about why you're making the choices that you're making. So that's a little breakdown of the different types of essays that there are. So what's the point of essays? Why do we need them? Why do we ask for them? Do we read them? The point of you all writing essays is for you to be able to share your voice. The other portions of the application, your academics, your activities, your letters of recommendation, they don't really give us a chance to hear from you in your voice and the application. Your academics, your transcript is spoken for. Your letters of recommendation are what your teachers think about you. Your list of activities, that's also spoken for because you can't change the past, right? So the essay is an opportunity for us to get to know you, the individual, you, the person. So you get to share your voice and you get to tell us something we may not otherwise learn about you. We get to understand what your passions are, what drives you, what motivates you to want to go to college, what motivates you to, want to major in a certain thing, or just something about you in your life that makes you unique. So that's the point. And then it also provides an example of your writing. Again, this is an opportunity that we in college admissions use to give us students a chance to write, but also it gives us a chance to get to know you a little bit about your personality. And because of that, I've highlighted here, you have complete control over your essays. You can't control but so much anymore about your transcript. Your letters of recommendation, you can control who you ask, but you can't control what they write. But your essay, you have complete control over what you want to tell us and how you want to tell us what you want to tell us. So it's important that the students understand how much power they have in that aspect, and how much it can be a very important factor when it comes to your admissions decision. So I wanted to give you all a few common mistakes that I have seen as a teacher, an administrator, and now on this other side of the desk, that students feel like they have to do these things or have these things in order to write a good college essay. The first one being an overly formal tone. You've been taught in English classes, if you're writing a formal paper, you write in the third person. You don't address yourself. You don't say I or me. You don't speak in first person. This essay is about you. So it should be written in first person. The point of the essay, like I said, is to get to know you. So you should absolutely write in I, me, my statements. Second common mistake, too many SAT words. We know that you all are high school students and we want you to sound like high school students. There's no need for you to have a thesaurus next to you as you write your essays so that you can sound like something you're not. It's not necessary. We want you to sound like yourself and be your authentic self. Third mistake, not being personal enough. So I will expand upon that. Again, the point of the essay is for us to get to know you. We read a lot of essays about influential people in students' lives, a parent, a grandparent, a role model, a mentor, things like that. And sometimes the essay can be all about that person or all about something that doesn't necessarily ever tie back to the student. So while I learned so much about that wonderful person in your life, I'm not learning a lot about you. So you can absolutely mention or write about somebody that's influential to you, but it should always be tied back to you. So that's what I mean by not being personal enough. And then last but not least, trying to be something that you're not. That one is really simple. Students feel as if like they have to be funny. They feel like they have to tell a very traumatic story in order to be seen or order to be noticed, and that is simply not true. If you are naturally funny, by all means, you can be funny in your essay. If you want to tell us about a life-changing event that happened to you, absolutely, by all means, do that. But don't feel compelled to do that in order for your essay to be quote unquote noticed. We read all of the essays that you all submit. We honor the fact that you've taken the time to write those essays. So in honoring that, we read them because again, without that essay, the application pie is not complete. So make sure that you are showing up as your authentic self when you write your essays. So here are some best practices, some strategies that work best when you are trying to craft these essays. Choose a comfortable topic for you. It doesn't have to be something that you need to heavily research. We're not asking for a research paper. Like I said, the point is for us to get to know you. So the topic should be something that you can easily write about. Now, it will take some time for you to figure out what that topic will be, because I'm sure all of you could write about hundreds of things. So make sure you choose a topic that is very comfortable for you to write about. The writing should be very fluid. I cannot emphasize this enough. Focus on you and your interests. Again, the point is for us to get to know you. The essay should tell a story. There should be an introduction, a middle, and an end, not necessarily a 3-paragraph structure essay, but we should have a beginning and a conclusion to your essay. And details matter, so be specific. We want to get to know you, and we know that your topic has been well thought of. So make sure that you are including everything that you feel like you need to include about whatever topic you choose. And I have a few examples for you to see what some snippets of some well-written essays look like. But these are some general strategies that students should hope to follow. So now let's read some essays. All right, so I will read this aloud as you read it to yourselves. For the longest time, I wanted to be a garbage man. Nothing sounded more exciting than driving the garbage truck around all day. The truck has a giant mechanical claw that grabs trash cans, shakes out the trash, and puts them right back. And don't even get me started on the compactor. How do all these machines work? How are they controlled? How could you not want to be the garbage man? Again, this is not the whole essay. This is an excerpt from an essay, but I'm there with the student. I fully understand why this student wanted to be a garbage man at some point in their lives. And it's cute, it's quirky, and I want to read more. I want to know more about why this student wanted to be a garbage man. So that's just one small excerpt, and I have one more. The year was 2017. I declared war on all squirrels. It all started when I built my first bird feeder, a plastic plate tied to a string, and hung it on a tree in my backyard. I looked out the window expecting to see it filled with colorful, beautiful birds. Instead, I saw the squirrel. I ran outside to check my bird feeder. Barely an hour had passed, but the squirrel ate everything. I was heartbroken. The squirrel, now halfway up the tree, locked his beady black eyes with mine. No words were spoken, but it was enough to communicate. This is war. Again, small excerpt from an essay, but I want to read more. Why would a student declare war on squirrels? He's proud about building his first bird feeder. And now we understand why he wanted to declare war on squirrels, because the squirrel ate everything that was in the bird feeder. Again, a lot of imagery here. I can see it. I can visualize what the student is talking about. And I'm getting to know the student while they're also talking about squirrels and bird feeders. So those are just two small examples of what I mean by details matter, imagery, focusing on yourself, and writing in a cute way. Here's the big topic that everybody wants to talk about: AI and the use of AI in essays. Can we see it? Do we recognize it? Is it okay to use it? Let's talk about it. So AI, artificial intelligence, is something that is becoming more and more popular. Some schools, some universities are very open about the fact that they may use AI to read essays. I will say that we at UVA do not. We physically read them with the human eye. But here's the thing. When you get AI, ChatGPT, to write an essay for you, it no longer sounds like you. And it's not you using your own words. It takes the creativity out of it, and it doesn't really sound like a human at all. While AI is a great tool that can be used to kind of help you brainstorm, to help you craft some ideas, to maybe help you kind of organize it a little bit, it should not be what is used to write the essay itself. So I want to see if you can spot an essay written with AI and one written by a human. So let's look one on the blue essay, the blue dot essay, and the orange dot essay. Let's look at the one on the left first. I can testify to the merits of music on vinyl. Sure, you can listen more easily with streaming, but there's an authenticity to vinyl that's lost in any other format. It's like sitting by a campfire instead of a space heater. The crackling, static sound of a record is a story in itself. The music has been loved. Okay, orange dot essay. There's magic in the crackle before a needle drops. Vinyl taught me patience, presence, and the beauty of imperfection. Each record spins a story, not just through sound, but through history and touch. In a digital world, I find myself analog, intentional, connected to music in its rawest, most human form. Okay. If you're looking at both of these essays, I will just tell you, the orange dot essay is the one written by a human. The blue dot essay was written by AI. There are certain ways that the essay may not flow well. It's kind of heavy in the words, and the orange dot essay kind of brings it to life a little more. All right. So if you got that right, congratulations. If you didn't, I'll give you another chance. Here's number 2, blue dot essay first. A gust of wind breaking in my wake, I charge forward on my steed. Throughout my high school years, the convenient power of my bicycle has saved me countless hours of exhaustion. As an individual who is young for their grade, I have always been behind on the newest age-bound privilege. While others can drive, I can bike. Orange dot essay. Riding my bike as a teenager meant freedom. No destination, just wind, wheels, and wonder. I pedaled through heartache, friendship, and growing pains, learning the rhythm of independence. Every ride was a quiet rebellion, a moving meditation. On 2 wheels, I discovered who I was and who I wanted to become. Okay. If you think that the blue dot essay is the AI essay, you are correct. Blue dot is AI, orange dot is written by a human. Again, the orange dot essay communicates in a better way. More imagery, I can see it. I understand why the student loved riding a bike. AI essay still communicates the same thing, but not in the same way. So these are 2 examples of AI versus human essays. If you got this one right, you're 2 for 2. If you didn't, that's okay. You don't have to figure out the difference in your daily lives, but just know that there is a distinct difference between when AI is used and when a human is just writing freely. So that being said, here's some tips from Dr. G being me, about what you should do when you're writing your essay. So I'm going to put my teacher hat back on, my administrator hat back on, as if I'm talking to my students in my classroom. First and foremost, when you are responding to an essay prompt, answer the question. The prompt is asking you a question because whoever wrote the question wants you to answer that question. So make sure that when you are editing and you're proofreading, make sure that you actually answered the question being asked of you. So many times we will see a student write a wonderful essay, and then you're left wondering, what does that have to do with the prompt that they chose to answer? So first and foremost, answer the question. Secondly, don't just summarize your accomplishments, as in don't just regurgitate what's already written on your resume or your activities page. You don't need to tell us something that we already know. right? So we will already know what your list of accomplishments are, what you've been involved with, what types of classes you've taken. This should be you telling us something new. So don't feel the need to summarize something, that we will see in other portions of your application. The essay should be its own thing. Third, tell us the why, not just the what. So the what is important. It could be something about, what has been an event in your life that has changed you. The what, to answer that question, is very important, but the why is more important. Why has it changed you? How has it changed you? Not just the what. So make sure that you're getting beyond the what and answering the why and the how, because that, again, leads us to get to know more about you than just you stating the what. Next is to connect the dots and be thoughtful. Focus on authenticity. So this goes without saying, the essay is about you. So make sure that you connect the dots in your essay and that it's framed well. Be thoughtful, be authentic. It doesn't have to be something that nobody else in the world will write about. As you can imagine, we see a lot of essays about sports injuries. We see a lot of essays about influential people. We see a lot of essays about impactful moments, and that's fine. But you can still be authentic in an essay that you may think, oh, well, a lot of people may be writing about, a torn ACL. A lot of people may be writing about, their grandmother being an influential person in their lives. That's fine. But nobody's going to be writing about your grandmother, but you. Nobody's going to be writing about your torn ACL, but you. So make it authentic to you and be thoughtful about writing the essay so that it doesn't sound like everybody else's, even though the topic may be the same. The last two are just technical things. Brainstorm first, edit, and proofread. When you're looking at this essay, make sure that it sounds the way you want it to sound. That it's edited and proofread. One good rule of thumb: if it is not a supplemental essay or an essay written for a specific school, please do not write a school name in an essay, especially if you're planning on using it for multiple schools. I have seen that happen, whether it was intentional or not. Just be mindful when you do that. And then read it out loud. Again, when you read an essay that you've written out loud, it will help you understand how it flows. And then that will also help you with organization. That'll help you with saying, oh, that sentence doesn't need to be there. Or that may help you with word limits, right? If you know that you have to have a essay that's written 250 words and you're at 270. If you read it out loud, it may help you say, okay, well, that sentence doesn't need to be there. I can take that out. Or this sentence doesn't make sense here. I can take that out. Reading it out loud is very helpful when it comes to editing essays, just again, to make sure that it flows well and that it says what you want it to say. So that said, that is all I have for you all. Hopefully that was beneficial to you, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dr. Garland, that was great. It's like you were reading my mind. We've been talking a lot about AI specifically recently, and all things kind of college admissions and just education. So thank you so much for including that, because I think that was helpful. And I know I'm also joined on the call by our other career counselors. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Melton at Hanover High School. We also have Allison Bolander, who's the career counselor at Mechanicsville, Amy Couillard, who's at Atlee, and Jennifer Crowder, who's at Patrick Henry. So for the rest of you on the call, if you do have some questions about the college essay, please feel free to add them in the chat, and we will go ahead and take a few minutes to answer them. I do see one question. It says, I heard you say, do not put the name of the school in the essay. So we can use one essay for multiple schools, ?
Yes. So that would be in the personal statement. So your Common App essay can be the same essay no matter how many schools you're applying to. In the Common App, you can select up to 20 schools that you're applying to, and you can use that same essay if you'd like to. The Common App essay is not the place to say, and I have wanted to attend the University of Virginia my entire life. That is not it. Supplemental essay and specific essays are school specific. So that is where you would indicate the name of the school for which that supplemental essay is being written. But the Common App essay, since it can be used for multiple schools, you are correct. You should not name drop a school in that Common App essay unless you're only applying to one school, but you should not name drop the university there.
And that does happen sometimes. And if you're not that
Yes.
university reading the essay, whew. Our next question is, and I think a lot of applications will specifically state this, but what would be a great length for a college essay?
That's a great question. So most of us will indicate a word limit. I believe the Common App essay is 500 words. 250 to 500 is usually safe. And then supplemental essays are way shorter. So maybe 100, 150, 200 words. I can tell you right now, we don't count words. So don't feel like you have to turn on the word count in Word or Google, wherever you're writing your essay. We won't count them, but you should write more than a paragraph. It should be, again, there should be a beginning, a middle, and an end. And sometimes a paragraph just doesn't get to that. So it should be long enough, but you should by all means not feel pressured to write a 5-paragraph essay if you don't need to say that much. So the length is up to you. We will tell you the baseline of what we want. And as long as you're in that middle ground, that's wonderful. But most schools will specify for you how many words they're looking for. The Common App, like I said, is standard, but for supplemental essays, some schools want a sentence. I know Virginia Tech, on their supplemental essays, they want very brief answers, 2 to 3, maybe 5 sentences max. Other schools want, in their supplemental essay, they want a couple of paragraphs. So just make sure you are giving the universities what they ask for. I know on Tech's application, I know because my colleague over there, Steve, we travel a lot together because people think we hate each other and we don't. But he has said multiple times, like the short answer essays are supposed to be short answer. So just, that colleges will ask you for exactly what they want. So make sure that you are reading carefully and doing what they ask.
Directions
Yes.
are so important, right? It's funny, this next question I think was kind of in my mind a little bit already. It's 2 parts. Have you read something extraordinary that got your attention? And then the second part is, do you read each essay that was sent to you during application?
Both great questions. So yes, every year we get incredible essays from students. And there are a lot that stand out to me. And sometimes on a weekly basis, I may read essays and I'm like, wow, this essay was phenomenal. So yes, essays they are intended to make students stand out, and they do. Again, for a lot of different reasons. It could have been funny, it could have been quirky, but they definitely stand out. I do have some that I guess from year to year that have stood out to me. And yes, at the University of Virginia, we read every essay that students write. Because again, it's a part of the holistic review process. So without the essay, we're not looking at the whole application. If we ask you to write it and we require it, we are going to review it. So we read everything just so that we can understand the student a little more, because we don't use interviews as a part of our process. So that is really the only way that we get to know you, the individual, as aside from all of the stats and figures that come along with your transcript and all of that. So we love reading the essays. It's the fun part of the application for us. So just know, if you apply to UVA, your essay will be read by somebody in the office. But yeah, we love reading the essays. It's like one of the best parts of the application, if I'm being honest.
And it's okay. What I'm also hearing is if you are humorous, it's okay to be humorous. If you're creative, you can be creative, because that's kind of showing who that person is beyond just the data of a transcript, et cetera.
100%. So the second example that I gave you with the essay that said, in 2017, I declared war on squirrels. Reading that essay is like, wait, what? I need to know more. It's like, but not every essay has to have that hook, right? But it's like, but I want to know more about why you declared war on squirrels in 2017. I remember an essay, the first line was, I hate coffee. And as a coffee lover, I was like, oh my gosh. But the student went on to talk about why they hate coffee, and it wasn't what I thought it was. You know what I mean? Like they talk about just anything, or like one essay I read last year, the first sentence was, last year was rough for me. That was the first sentence. And and the student didn't talk about anything overly traumatic, but it was transparent. It ended up being funny. But it's those little nuances. Again, no matter what you write about, it can be something that I've read about 100 times, but the way that you write it and how you stylize it is how we get to know your personality and get to know you without actually getting a chance to meet and speak with you.
And you're reading quite a few essays in a day, right? So if
Yes.
they're personal, that probably makes your experience as a reader much better than if they are kind of just rote, robotic kind of writing.
1000%. We don't like to read essays where students are writing what they think we want to read about. Don't write what you think we want to hear. Like I said, it doesn't need to be overly formal. No overuse of SAT words. It doesn't need to be something so extravagant. It's you on paper. So don't think about it too much. But I love reading essays where the student just made it their own, because it's fun. Like reading a transcript is, we read a lot of those in a day, but reading the different essays, that's really the fun part. And it's like, okay, now I get to meet you, like I said, without actually being able to speak with you. So it's fun. I love reading essays, not just because I was a teacher either, but I love reading. All of us love reading essays.
Yeah. I will say particularly, I could connect specifically with the squirrel essay because that has been my life in the last year. So definitely chuckle as a reader, and I'm now going to remember that, right?
Exactly.
Love that example. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat right now. I think you did such a great job kind of comprehensively and also giving us some examples. So thank you for that. This is our last day of the virtual boot camp, but tomorrow's kind of our culminating event for everyone on the call. We hope to see you at Hanover High School. All Hanover County High School students are invited to attend our expo. We will have a number of colleges and universities, including Dr. Garland from UVA. We'll also have a number of businesses. Great to connect with them to kind of think maybe after I'm finished college, what is it that employers are looking for? What should I be doing over the next 4 years? In addition to college, to get ready for employment. That is going to start at 10 a.m. It goes from 10 to 12. It's going to be in the Commons. But if you're curious to learn a little bit more, Dr. Garland gave us a wee bit of insight today. We are going to have just a quick mock admissions workshop tomorrow, starting at 9:30 a.m. in our auditorium, run from about 9:30 to 10. So if you want to get a little window into how applications are reviewed at colleges and maybe things that they're thinking about, that will be a great session for you to attend. So with that, on behalf of all of the career counselors, thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you again, Dr. Garland.
Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure to be with you all. And yes, hope to see you all tomorrow if you can make it. Thank you guys so much.